What's up, my cronies? I got another Pokemon match for you against an opponent with a pretty interesting team, which you'll see why later. As you can see, he leads with Jolteon, which is a pretty good anti-lead. It can really mess with common leads such as Hippowdon, Swampert, or Azelf, but with Hidden Power Grass or Shadow Ball. Which Shadow Ball I completely forgot about, switched in my Dusknoir, and took half of his health, which was probably a pretty bad choice on my part, but whatever. So I bring in Heatran to take another Shadow Ball, which is the obvious thing he's going to do. I was scared of a Heatran of his own, so I did not use Lava Plume, but instead he brings on Vaporeon, which is pretty troubling to me because Vaporeon's a really tough Pokemon for my team to take out. I'm not using my Sandstorm team, which that would be even harder to take out, but really the only Pokemon on the team I'm using right now that can take out a Vaporeon is Electivire, which is one of my favorite 4th gen Pokemon. So I bring in Swampert again to take the Surf because it's probably my best choice. Take the opportunity to set up Stealth Rock, and then I roar him out, but before I can roar him out, he uses Toxic, which kind of cripples a Pokemon, especially a bulky Pokemon like Swampert. As you can see, I roared in Flareon, which as soon as that came out, I realized, oh my god, this guy probably has a full team full of Eevee evolutions. And sure enough, I roar in an Umbreon, which it's probably one of Umbreon and Jolteon and Vaporeon are probably the only 3 Eevee evolutions anyone should really ever use. I mean, Umbreon isn't that great, but he's kind of decent. He can pass Mean Look, which he uses right there, but it doesn't matter because I just roar him out anyway. But overall, Vaporeon is a much better tank. It's bulky and it's a water type, which is a really good type to have. Glaceon comes out and uses Hail for some reason, which really doesn't benefit any of his team at all. As you can see, Flareon comes back, which really doesn't help that Hail's out. Yeah, Glaceon is pretty useless except on a Hail team. I guess Snowcloak can kind of add a little hacks or something to your team, but other than that, it's just not good. And Flareon, of course, can't really do anything to my Swampert, so I do the safe choice and just use Earthquake. Well, as soon as all the leftovers and poison damage and all that stuff happens, but the toxic damage kills my Swampert, which is kind of sad because I wanted to at least take out something before it dying. Anyway, I figure that Heatran is pretty useless in this match because he has the Vaporeon, which Heatran could never take out, and the Flareon, which also causes complications. So I decide that Heatran would probably be a good Pokemon to sacrifice, so I just leave him out against the Vaporeon. Keep using Dragon Pulse over and over again, which kind of works in my favor because he thinks I'm going to switch and uses Toxic against me, which of course doesn't affect Heatran at all. But after one more Surf, of course, Heatran bites the dust, which at this point he's probably winning. I think it's 6-4 right now, but all that's about to change because I really wanted Heatran to die so that I could have a 100% safe switch in of Electivire, which, as I said before, was the only real Pokemon that can take out Vaporeon easily. I bait the switch and use Earthquake on the Jolteon as it comes in, which I'm really surprised right here. It doesn't die from the Earthquake, which tells me that it's obviously pretty bulky, which is kind of a poor choice for Jolteon, and of course it dies with one more Earthquake. Can't take out my Electivire in one hit. So now that that's dead, that's one less thing I have to worry about against his team. And he brings in Leafeon, which is once again a pretty bad Pokemon. It's a little bulky. I think it has high defense, but it has pretty low HP, which is kind of bad for a wall. I mean, Dusknoir has really bad HP, but he has both his defense and special defense are really high, which it's kind of an even trade. He gets Pain Split, which helps with his low HP. I use Will-O-Wisp against his Leafeon, which cripples it completely because, as you can see, it used Swords Dance before, which, you know, when you're burned, really a Swords Dance from anything isn't going to do anything. I've seen Scizors use Swords Dance about twice when they're burned, and it still didn't even do like a third of my Dusknoir's HP. So now, as you can see, I switch out Skarmory back to Dusknoir because the Flareon could really mess up my Skarmory with Flamethrower. And now, of course, it gives me a chance to kill the Flareon with Dusknoir. Which, it's really slow, so it's really good that it gets some kind of priority move, even if Shadow Sneak isn't that great of one. But it certainly helps, as you could see, when the Flareon was at really low HP. So now that Flareon is dead, I can just bring Skarmory back in and start spiking the Punch Bowl a little bit, setting up spikes one turn at a time. Which spikes, that's really, really good. Like, except against flying types, which then Stealth Rock takes a lot of their health. But, I mean, just if you can manage to set up 3 spikes, it's just game over because it's just so much damage gets done to Pokemon as they switch in. So now I just start whirlwinding away because I do have all the spikes out and Stealth Rock, which, as you can see, Leafeon just took an obscene amount of damage and then died to its burn, which it really sucks when you switch in a Pokemon and it immediately dies. That's like one of the worst feelings in the world. So my Skarmory barely survives another Surf, which manages to get that Vaporeon out of there again. Now here, I don't know why, but I used Drill Peck instead of Whirlwind. A Whirlwind would have finished the match right here. But for some reason I decided to use Drill Peck, which of course isn't going to kill him. And leaves me to die on the next turn. But whatever. At least now I get to show off my 6th Pokemon on my team, which is Azelf. Which he'll come in as soon as Leftovers finishes. And there he is. I really like Azelf. I don't use him as a lead, of course, but I do like him as a special attacker. So he easily takes out the Umbreon. And now the Glaceon comes back in and immediately dies to Stealth Rock and Spikes damage. And so does Vaporeon. So, lesson be learned here, kids. Don't use Eevee evolutions who aren't Jolteon or Vaporeon because they're not that good. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And have a nice day.